How's it going, everyone? I hope you're all having a wonderful day. I'm a mess, and today I wanted to ask you guys a very important question. Have you ever heard of the manga Witch Watch? Are you a fan of the shonen genre? Because if you are, listen closely, because this series has been consistently within the top 10 of Shonen Jump's popularity poll, according to Jajanken.net. For those of you who don't know, Jajanken.net is a website that ranks Shonen Jump's current airing manga. And with Witch Watch being consistently within the top 10, I thought it was a series that was worth checking out, and what I got was one of the funniest parody mangas you have ever read. This series follows a young witch by the name of Nico Wakatsuki, whom is an incredibly powerful yet incredibly clumsy witch, whose mother prophesied that she was going to meet an untimely demise. So, in order to protect her daughter, she sent her to live with one of their familiars, an ogre by the name of Morihito Otogi, whom is a descendant of the family's familiar of Ox and Tiger, who is now currently known as an ogre. Now, in the present timeline of the story, ogres and other mythological creatures have had their blood thinned by having interspecial relationships with humans, so their bloodline is more human than their familiar counterpart. But Morihito Otogi has a strong ogre bloodline, which caused him to be extremely physically gifted. As such, he was placed in charge of guarding Nico, and so it was decided that the two of them will live together because it would be easier that way for him to protect her. And of course, coincidentally, his dad, whom he lives alone with, suddenly had a job overseas he had to attend to, and so begins their crazy life of a witch and an ogre living with each other. And so, of course, this being a comedy series and Nico being incredibly clumsy, her magical antics caused a ton of problems for Morihito. And then, of course, throw in the fact that they are living alone with each other, you are gonna have some romantic tension, especially since Nico ends up falling in love with Morihito in the very first chapter. Of course, she was fantasizing about having a romantic relationship with him because they are childhood friends, they got along with each other so well when they were younger despite all of the problems she caused him. She figured after being reunited after so long, romance was bound to bloom, right? For her, yes. For him, no, because his entire duty is to protect her from this prophecy. So in his mind, he has no time for romantic relationships. His sole goal is to protect her from all danger. But of course, that doesn't stop him from spewing out really cool lines that really get Nico going. Like he's her Prince Charming coming to protect her from this evil fate that awaits her. Now, the series doesn't only follow the both of them. We meet several other colorful characters whom are also either descendants of familiars or other witches or those who have some other wacky quirk attached to them. And this manga's writer, Kenta Shinohara, manages to incorporate all of these different aspects into this series so smoothly. And frankly, it's not a surprise, because Kenta Shinohara is a well-established manga within Shonen Jump. He has written a couple other successful series, including Sket Dance and Astral Lost in Space, with Sket Dance being his most successful manga as well as his debut manga. Now, for those of you who don't know, Sket Dance is a series that aired in the late 2000s and ended in the early 2010s. Now, it wasn't the most popular manga during its time, but it was a consistently successful manga. So much so that it actually ended up winning the Shokugakukan Manga Award in 2010. Now, the Shokugakukan Manga Award is an award handed out to the most prestigious manga during that year. So that goes to show that Sket Dance was an incredibly popular manga during its time. Now, I did read that manga a long time ago, and I remember it being a comedy, goofy manga with some really dramatic moments mixed in to help develop the characters, but it and Witch Watch have one major flaw in common with each other, and that is their action or battle moments were not that well written. Kenta Shinohara's writing really shines when he's just goofing around, having the characters live an ordinary life, experiencing some goofy moments here and there, and straight up just being troublemakers or being incredibly clumsy, and as a result cause problems for other people. When he gets into this serious fighting sort of situations, that's when his series tend to sort of fall off. It happened in Sket Dance, and it also does happen within Witch Watch. Granted, the serious moments are necessary because of the prophecy that was established within the first chapter. However, I feel this series really shines when he's just having the characters goof around living their life as normal. Like, for example, there is this one chapter where Nico and another one of their friends, Khan, decided to make a YouTube channel together. Granted, they had no idea how to run a YouTube channel, so Morihito had to step in and take over production, and as such, he ends up asking another one of their friends, Keigo, on how to properly make a YouTube channel. Now, Keigo does have his own YouTube channel. Granted, it is an unsuccessful one, but he told them everything they need to know about making YouTube videos. And so with Morihito taking full control of the production and editing of the videos, he decided to have Nico be the center of the channel, while Khan is just off screen. He wants to put both of their strong suits on display, Nico being her cute little looks, which was hilarious seeing Nico react to him calling her cute, and then of course Kan's witty retorts. Kan is really good at speaking and coming up with goofy comments and establishing a back and forth between him and Nico, and of course Nico is a really cute girl, so putting her at the center stage drove their videos through the roof, and their videos started going viral. They were on the verge of having a successful YouTube channel, but then the funniest thing happened. One day Morihito was like, come on guys, let's go film another YouTube video. We gotta keep going. We're starting to become successful. And both Nico and Kan were just like, we don't feel like it. We're tired today. And Morihito pretty much told him like, I told you guys you're gonna get bored with it right away. Y'all thought it would be fun in games, but the moment it started turning into an actual job, you guys lost all interest in it. Which is honestly kind of hilarious because it felt so real. That is kind of like what YouTube is in the real world. It seems like a really fun thing to do, but then when it becomes your job, you're gonna lose all interest in it. You're gonna feel like, oh, now I have to work. I'm not just goofing around anymore. This is my actual living now. Which a lot of YouTubers have mentioned, that is the struggle of being a content creator. But you know what? This actually reminds me of another chapter that they did, where Keiko asked Nico to show up in one of his videos to help boost viewership because his videos were all doing poorly. And he thought maybe a cute girl might help it out a bit, but at this point in time, Morihito was really paranoid about putting Nico in a YouTube video because they were getting close to the prophesized date, so he wanted to keep Nico under strict observation and make sure she did not do anything to draw unnecessary attention to herself. But Nico still wanted to help Keiko out, so she did him the favor of using a gender bend spell on him, turning him into a girl. And then he showed up on his channel claiming to be his sister, just doing a video to cover for her brother, and he went by the alias Keiko and pretty much just spent the entire video just talking about random junk, like how her bangs were too long, she wanted to cut them, the bags under her eyes made her look ugly, and then next thing you know, the videos started blowing up. He started doing more Keiko-esque videos, and they were all getting thousands of views, and it was getting to the point where if he showed up as himself, he was just getting a bunch of comments of when's the next Keiko video? When's she gonna show up again? And so Morihito, being like the big producer that he used to be, decided to take over that channel again, but instead of continuing with Keiko's channel, he decided to make a whole new YouTube channel surrounding Keiko. And of course, he took over being the producer and editor again, but only this time they decided to up the ante. They decided to get some of the other roommates, one being Kan, whom I mentioned earlier, and use a gender bend spell on him and call him Kana, and then show up in the videos as Keiko's roommate. And so the channel just evolved into cute girls with their own unique quirks doing the wackiest things, and the channel blew up. A bunch of other stuff happens, but I'm gonna let you guys read that for yourself. The point I want to get at is it was hilarious watching all of the guys turn into girls, make a YouTube channel, and having that channel just blow up out of nowhere. Like, the guy literally was doing the exact same thing in his male form, but the moment he became a cute girl, the channel instantly was successful. And it was just funny seeing these wacky yet realistic scenarios unfold. Now, their personalities may be quirky, but it was realistic. They were acting natural, like this is what would have happened if they were put in front of a camera. And that's not the only realistic thing Kenta Shinohara has put into his series. Kenta Shinohara has fully developed his world to the point that he has an actual inverse manga that he references constantly. He's even created a couple characters whom their entire plotline revolves around this manga. Speaking of which, that's something else he does really well. He fully develops all of his characters that he has introduced to the series. The story doesn't only follow the main cast. There are their friends and other side characters whom he focuses on throughout the series, and it doesn't feel unnatural or wasted because once again, his strong suit is writing these sort of realistic moments that get you involved with the character, and then their goofy antics that cause you to break out in a fit of laughter. And the way he does this is he creates a sort of like hobby for them. Like, he has these two characters who are obsessed with his in-world manga, Uran Mirage, and so they have entire storylines dedicated to writing fanfic about this, doing fan art, analyzing this series, and he even goes so far that he has dedicated 2 chapters out of the 150 plus that are currently out right now to just being chapters within Uran Mirage, his inverse manga. And because he's constantly referencing Uran Mirage throughout his entire series, you get an idea of where this story is going. He also does explain that the series is popular because of its vague storytelling plotline. So you may not know what's going on in the entirety of the story, but neither do the inverse characters, which I just found to be completely hilarious because Nico and Morihito's teacher is a major manga otaku who is obsessed with this series. So her and another student who is also obsessed with this series are constantly talking about it whenever they're on screen. So it feels like you know the story despite you only reading 2 chapters. And that also reminds me, this leads to another comedic moment, especially within the first few chapters when we start meeting these characters and we learn the teacher is a manga otaku. This allows Kenta Shinohara to reference other mangas. Like there was this one moment where Morihito's eraser broke, and so Nico, wanting to help him out and have him be grateful to her, wants to use growth magic to make his eraser bigger. And then of course Morihito, not wanting Nico to use magic because every time she does, she causes problems for him, tells her not to do it, but of course she ignores him, and instead of making his eraser grow, she made a lone strand of hair on the back of his head grow up. And when the teacher saw this, she's like, when did Gon Freeze join my room? And this is a funny reference to the manga series Hunter x Hunter, because at one point within that series, Gon uses an ability to make himself turn into an adult, and his hair stands straight up, and she referenced that moment within this series. This isn't the only reference that happens throughout this series. There's a lot of other comedic references that happen, one of which being Minecraft, which is funny enough, but that's what you get with a series like this. The moment they introduce magic in this series, they could turn a slice of life into like a goofy comedy gag manga, and it ended up being one of the funniest mangas I have ever read. Granted, the funniest is still Gintama. That's one of my favorite, if not the funniest series I've ever read, and coincidentally enough, Kenta Shinohara actually did work on that manga. He worked as an assistant, which I already knew because it does mention that in Sket Dance he has a crossover chapter along with Gintama within that manga. But anyways, I'm diverging here. The main point I wanted to get at is Kenta Shinohara learned a lot from working on Gintama, and this allowed him to become an excellent comedy gag writer. But he does struggle replicating what Gintama did with its serious moments, because I think Gintama had the perfect balance of comedy, action, and drama, while Kenta Shinohara series Sket Dance and as well as Witch Watch, their strengths are their comedy gag moments. When they get serious and try to have like these awesome action moments, that's when this series fall off. Good news is, it doesn't take away from the series as a whole. It may be boring reading some of these moments, but the series is still completely and utterly entertaining. It's definitely jumped into the top 5 of the funniest mangas I've ever read, Gintama being first of course, but still, it is a series that I definitely think you guys should check out if you haven't already. Hopefully this video helped convince you of it. And with that, I'd like to thank you all so much for watching. I truly appreciate it. I hope to see you in the next one, and remember to keep having fun. See ya!